Committee, Michael Steele. I want to show some articles from this morning's paper and give you a chance to respond. This is Ralph Hallow, who has written now a couple of articles about you, about the Republican National Committee. I don't know whether or not you consider him a friend of yours or not.
No, not really.
Okay. Steele tells GOP critics to fire him or shut up.
I can be a little bit of a hothead. I'm very passionate about this job. I'm very passionate about this party. I grew up in this town. I made a conscious decision at 17 years old to become a Republican because I heard a man talk about an America that recognized my potential and recognized what I could do as a black man in this city. When I'm surrounded by Democrats who were talking about a whole lot of other things that I couldn't connect to, programs and institutions, no one was talking to me about what individuals can do and how freeing it is to be able to access the American dream. My mother had a 5th grade education and worked in a laundromat in this town for 45 years before she retired, making $3.83 an hour. But she understood while the American dream was denied to her, it would not be denied to her son. And so she created that pathway. And when I heard Ronald Reagan speak when he was running for president in '76, he sounded like my mother. He sounded like the things that she was saying to me that I could do. And so that connected me to the party at that moment. And so here I am now, some 33 years later, sitting as the chairman of the Republican National Committee, coming off of devastating losses, of which I was a part in 2006 when I ran for the United States Senate. And I feel so passionately about moving this party forward. I like to call it turning the elephant. And embracing this new platform, this new ground, largely created by a Barack Obama who came on the scene and shook it up. And now the question is, how does the party adapt to this new environment? How do we reach out and touch this generation of voters and tell them that this party wants to empower you, not the institutions of government. This party wants to help you create a pathway so that you have that relationship from the bottom up. And so I get a little hot-headed sometimes because I don't understand all the noise. And I know it's a part of the job, but I want us to focus on helping Mitch McConnell and John Boehner in the Congress push through the legislation that we need to keep America going in the right direction, not the wrong direction as we see it on health care. And the folks out there in the grassroots feel that this party is going to be true to its principles and lead from those principles during this century.
There was a new poll out saying who is the face or the leader of the Republican Party, and John McCain came out on top. Do you agree that he's still the face and leader of the Republican Party?
John McCain is one of many leaders in this party, and you know, I really admire his run for the presidency because I remember that July when John McCain was up against the wall. I remember that July seeing John McCain at an airport in 2007 by himself. Catching a flight and no one paying attention to him. And his determination and perseverance through that campaign to come out as the nominee is something I think a lot of people admire or should admire. He represents so much that this party has to offer, along with you know, Mitt Romney and Sarah Palin and Governor Pawlenty, Governor Jindal, my good friend Haley Barbour. So we have the leadership that's out there, and guess what's going to happen? Over the course of this year and early next year, individuals are going to begin to emerge who will contend for the presidency, who want to represent the principles of this party nationally for the presidency, and that's going to be an exciting thing to watch, and we don't know who that's going to be yet, but you know, I think people shouldn't be surprised that that leadership is there and they're ready to get the job done.
Washington Post this morning, Philip Rucker's story, Steele's comments put congressional Republicans on the hunt for a muzzle, is the headline. Brad Woodhouse of the Democratic National Committee says that you are the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, well, you know, try to wrap the gift, you know. The reality of it is, look, this job is, it's tough, it's important, but the more important thing that we do is that we build the farm team, we put the resources in place, we run good candidates, and those candidates reflect back to the American people the principles that have defined this party. And if we don't do that, it doesn't matter what Michael Steele says, it doesn't matter what congressional leaders say, we will not garner back the support and the faith of the American people. We will remain at 22% or worse in the polls in terms of popularity or identification. and we will have lost our way permanently. And I don't believe that will happen, and I certainly don't want it to happen on my watch. I remain committed to getting out there, being on the streets. I've spent time in Harlem and Detroit. I've done town halls here at Howard University. I've gone around the country and had a conversation. And I try to reflect back to the Hill what folks out here are saying, their frustrations. When people are told that they're un-American because they disagree with what their government is doing, this party, the Republican Party, is the party that will step in and say, that is wrong. We know better how to lead. But we need to demonstrate that every single day, because these people out here are watching and they are ticked off. And it doesn't matter. You remember people used to say, well, I don't know about your congressman. They need to get rid of him, but mine, he's a good guy. Well, you know what they're saying right now? Not only does your congressman stink, but so does mine. And so they're looking at this saying, a pox on both your houses. And so leadership had better pay attention to that and not take it for granted. Otherwise, we're going to be in a world of hurt come November.
And finally, before we go to calls, Chairman Steele, there's been some criticism, at least in the press, about your going on a book tour promoting Right Now while serving as chairman of the RNC.
Well, you know, I wrote this book in 2008, before I became chairman. And due to publishing circumstances at that time, and then, got into the chairman's race, it didn't get published. And so the reality of it is I updated it to include some things that have happened since then, like the November election and a few other things. And of course, Sarah Palin's book came out, and you didn't want to be on the streets when that hit. So the timing may have been a little bit off, but this book has been in progress for a long time. And I think it's an important way forward. I really do. I see it as a blueprint of how we move forward, taking these important steps, the first two saying we have a problem and then owning them. And then going forward and talking about and contrasting our principles. We're the conservative party in this country. And so to be able to contrast our principles against the liberal party, the Democrat Party, I think is a good political exercise, and this is one of the roadmaps used to do that.
Michael Steele is the chairman of the Republican Party and author of Right Now, a 12-step program for defeating the Obama agenda.